In 1910, America was a nation of 90 million, and for most of us, this is what we meant by horsepower. Life in this time was simpler. There was no television or radio, and coal cost less than $5 a ton. One out of 4 Americans owned a horse, but if you owned a car, you were 1 in 200. William Howard Taft was in the White House. Under President Roosevelt, Taft had served as first governor of the Philippines and as Secretary of War, and he had Roosevelt's strong endorsement when he won the presidency in 1908. But Taft was not the vigorous and crusading politician Roosevelt was, and by 1912, Taft's conservative policies had so angered the former president that Roosevelt decided to challenge Taft for the presidential nomination. Republican Party regulars gave Taft the nomination, but that didn't stop Roosevelt. Endorsed by the Progressive Party, Teddy campaigned for a return to the White House, saying he felt strong as a bull moose. The Democratic nominee was Woodrow Wilson, former president of Princeton University and governor of New Jersey. Though Taft and Roosevelt had once been friends, the 1912 campaign was bitter. Roosevelt attacked Taft's conservatism and called for a new nationalism with sweeping progressive reforms, workmen's compensation, minimum wage, and child labor laws. With Republican loyalty divided, Wilson won the election of 1912. Roosevelt carried only 6 states, Taft only 2. Wilson, like Roosevelt, was a progressive politician. He had campaigned for a new freedom, and once in office, he called Congress into special session. New laws brought sweeping changes: banking and currency reform, a federal trade commission, the income tax, and even stronger antitrust laws, all enacted to protect the public interest. The political reforms of Woodrow Wilson's years were among the most significant in history, but there were demands for change by more radical elements, and these would take more time. Poor working conditions and low pay led to many strikes and demonstrations, and sometimes determined protests in the name of social justice did succeed, like the movement for child labor laws. Long hours, dangerous conditions. Who would protect the children in the factories and on the farms from conditions that made them sick and old by their teens? Though President Wilson was a progressive politician, he had first believed that federal regulation of child labor was unconstitutional, but strong sentiment and progressive demand caused him to endorse a child labor law, ensuring its passage by 1916.